Good morning everyone. Myself Indranil Mondol, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering Department in Ideal Institute of Engineering. Today I will deliver an important lecture on surface hardening related to materials engineering. Let's discuss on the topic. These are the main contents: laser beam hardening, electron beam hardening, nitriding, carbonitriding, vacuum and plasma hardening. Let us discuss one by one. First, laser beam hardening. Laser surface hardening of ferrous materials is an established process used to enhance the mechanical properties of highly stressed machine parts such as gears and bearings. Surface hardening increases the wear resistance of the material and under favorable circumstances increases the fatigue strength caused by residual stresses that are induced in the workpiece surface by the transformation hardening process. The surface hardening process is not fundamentally different from conventional through hardening of ferrous materials. In both processes, increased hardness and strength are obtained by quenching the material from the austenite region to form hard martensite. Surface hardening differs from conventional through hardening in that only a thin surface layer is heated to austenitization temperatures prior to quenching, leaving the interior of the workpiece essentially unaffected. Because ferrous materials are fairly good heat conductors, it is necessary to use very intense heat fluxes to heat the surface layer to austenitization temperatures without unduly affecting the bulk temperature of the workpiece. The heat infuse is commonly obtained by the use of very hot flames or by high frequency induction heating. By selectively heating the workpiece surface to austenitization temperatures, desired surface hardening is obtained by application of a quench medium to the hot surface or by self-quenching. Self-quenching occurs when the cold interior of the workpiece continues a sufficiently large heat sink to quench the hot surface by heat conduction to the interior at a rate high enough to allow martensite to form at the surface. Let us discuss the main principle of laser beam hardening. When a laser beam impinges on a surface, part of its energy is absorbed as heat at the surface. If the power density of the laser beam, usually given in watt per square centimeter, is sufficiently high, heat will be generated at the surface at a rate of higher than that heat conduction and the temperature in the surface layer will increase rapidly. In a very short time, a thin surface layer will have reached austenizing temperatures whereas the interior of the workpiece is still cool. Even with a relatively moderate power density of 500 watt per semi square, temperature gradients of 500 degrees Celsius per millimeter can be obtained. By moving the laser beam over the workpiece surface, a point on the surface within the path of the beam is rapidly heated as the beam passes. This area is subsequently cooled rapidly by heat conduction to the interior after the beam has passed. By selecting the correct power density and speed of the last laser spot, the material will harden to the desired depth. The resulting depth of case will depend on the hardening response of the material, but it will rarely be more than 2.5 mm. For steel with low hardenability such as low and medium carbon steel, the depth of case obtainable is much smaller, varying from perhaps 0.25 mm in mild steels to 1.3 mm in a medium carbon steels. Because of the very high heating and cooling rates obtainable, it is possible to harden steels not normally considered hardenable. For the same reason, the hardness obtainable by the laser hardening process in some instances be slightly higher than that considered possible with conventional methods. This is all about laser beam hardening process. Next, we will discuss another hardening process, that is none other than electron beam hardening process. Electron beam hardening process is a short surface hardening procedure for martensitically hardenable ferrous materials. Austenizing occurs through the energy transferred by electron beams. Precise application of the energy with respect to workpiece location and elapsed time using a focused and deflectable electron beam makes it the process of choice, especially for the partial hardening of highly stressed surface regions in components. The austenizing process advances from the surface towards the inner core regions of the component via heat conduction, thus allowing for a defined adjustment of the hardness penetration by selecting a suitable energy transfer duration. Typical hardening depths obtained by the electron beam hardening process ranges from 0.1 to 1.5 mm. The rapid cooling of the austenite required for martensite formation occurs through a self-quenching process that is dependent on the thermal conductivity and starts after the energy transfer has decreased. Depending on the material selected, the workpiece thickness required should be at least 5 to 10 times the austenizing depth. This technique has only recently found practical application in the metals industry because it offers the advantages of extremely low hardening distortion and relatively low energy consumption. Electron beam hardening provides the metallurgist with an additional option to conventional hardening techniques. This is all about electron beam hardening procedure. Next, another important topic about gas nitriding process. Nitriding is most effective when applied to the range of steels containing nitride forming elements such as chromium, molybdenum, vanadium and aluminum. The process is also applicable to tool steels such as hot work, cold work and mold steels. A low temperature application is nitriding of spring steels to prolong the fatigue life of springs for automotive use. In general, all ferrous materials can be gas nitrided up to 5% chromium for higher contents of alloying elements, and for gas nitriding of stainless steel, plasma nitriding might be considered. Gas nitriding of sintered steel with low density is not recommended. So the part to be nitrided is placed in a box that is made of heat resistant steel. This box also has provision for inlet and outlet of ammonia gas. 2 holes drills on the walls, one for inlet of ammonia gas and another for outlet of ammonia gas. The box along with the component is then placed in the furnace and heated to around 450 to 550 degrees Celsius. Then a steady flow of ammonia gas is injected in the box. On coming in contact with the steel, the ammonia vapor gets dissociated and nascent nitrogen is released. This nitrogen combines with other elements in outer surface of steel like carbon, silicon, manganese, nickel, chromium, molybdenum, etc. and forms nitrides which are extremely hard. After that, quenching is done. Case thicknesses are between 0.5 to 0.8 mm with hardness up to 70 RC. This is about gas nitriding process. Let us discuss what are the main advantages of gas nitriding process. Precise control of chemical potential of nitrogen in the nitriding atmosphere by controlling gas flow rate of nitrogen and oxygen. All-round nitriding effect can be a disadvantage in some cases compared with plasma nitriding. Large bath sizes possible, the limiting factor being furnace size and gas flow. With modern computer control of the atmosphere, the nitriding results can be closely controlled. Relatively low equipment cost, especially compared with plasma. What are the main disadvantages of gas nitriding process? Reaction kinetics heavily influenced by surface condition. An oily surface or one contaminated with cutting fluids will deliver poor results. Surface activation is sometimes required to treat steels with a high chromium content. Compare sputtering during plasma nitriding. Ammonia as nitriding medium. Though not especially toxic, it can be harmful when inhaled in large quantities. Also, care must be taken when heating in the presence of oxygen to reduce the risk of explosion. These are the main advantages of gas nitrating surface hardening process. Next, another important subtopic of nitrating process is liquid nitrating. In salt bath or liquid nitrating, the nitrogen donating medium is a nitrogen containing salt such as cyanide salt. The salts used also donate carbon to the workpiece surface, making salt bath a nitrocarburizing process. The temperature used is typical of all nitrocarburizing processes, 550 to 570 degrees Celsius. The advantages of salt nitrating is that it achieves higher diffusion in the same period of time compared to any other method. What are the main advantages of liquid nitrating? It possesses quick processing time, usually in the order of 4 hours or so to achieve. Simple operation: heat the salt and workpieces to temperature and submerge until the duration has transpired. The main disadvantages of liquid nitrating are the salts that are used are highly toxic. Disposal of salts are controlled by stringent environmental laws in Western countries and has increased the cost involved in using salt baths. This is one of the most significant reasons the process has fallen out of favor in recent decades. Only one process possible with a particular salt type. Since the nitrogen potential is set by the salt, only one type of process is possible. Next, another surface hardening process is carburizing process. Carburizing, also referred to as case hardening process. It is a heat treatment process that produces a surface which is resistant to wear while maintaining toughness and strength of the core. This treatment is applied to low carbon steel parts after machining, as well as high alloy steel, bearings, gears and other components. Carburizing increases strength and wear resistance by diffusing carbon into the surface of the steel, creating a case while retaining a substantially laser hardness in the core. This treatment is applied to low carbon steels after machining. Strong and very hard surface parts of intricate and complex shapes can be made of relatively lower cost materials that are readily machined or formed prior to heat treatment. Most carburizing is done by heating components in either a pit furnace or sealed atmosphere furnace and introducing carburizing gases at temperature. Gas carburizing allows for accurate control of both the process temperature and carburizing atmosphere. Carburizing is a time temperature process. The carburizing atmosphere is introduced into the furnace for the required time to ensure the correct depth of case. The carbon potential of the gas can be lowered to permit diffusion, avoiding excess carbon in the surface layer. After carburizing, the work is either slow cooled for later quench hardening or quenched directly into the oil. Quench selection is made to achieve the optimum properties with acceptable levels of dimensional change. Hot oil quenching may be used for minimal distortion, but may be limited in application by the strength requirements for the product. Alternatively, bearing races may be press quenched to maintain their dimensional tolerances, minimizing the need for excessive post-heat treatment grinding. In some cases, product is tempered, then cryogenically processed to convert retained austenite to martensite and then retempered. In case of solid carburizing or pack carburizing, the component is placed in a cast iron box along with a carbon rich material, that is for example charcoal. The box is placed in a furnace and heated to a temperature around 900 to 950 degrees Celsius and maintained at that temperature for some time period for 1 hour for 0.1 mm depth. The carbon is absorbed into the austenite on the surface of the component. The depth of penetration of carbon into the surface depends on the temperature and the time spent in the furnace. After enriching the surface with carbon, oil quenching is done. I have discussed earlier about gas carburizing. In this case, a mild carburizing gas is generated from liquid petroleum gas. This gas is fed into the furnace containing the heated steel component. Another method of gas carburizing is called liquid feed or drip feed method. In this method, an organic liquid such as a mixture of isopropyl or methyl alcohol with benzene is dripped directly into the furnace for generating a specific furnace atmosphere. In any case, the gas mixture breaks to form an atmosphere containing nitrogen, carbon dioxide, etc. due to heat. The component to be carburized is heated externally and made to travel through this atmosphere of the furnace, and thus their surface becomes rich in carbon content. It is then quenched to form a hard external surface, whereas the core remains soft and ductile. The depth depends upon time and temperature of the exposure to carbon rich atmosphere. This is all about gas carburizing process. Next, liquid carburizing is another subtopic of carburizing process. It is also called as cyaniding. In this case, the steel parts are immersed in a molten carbon rich bath maintained at 850 degree to 950 degrees Celsius for periods ranging from 15 minutes to 3 hours. Sometimes the heating or holding can be intermittent, that is, there can be two baths, one at 850 degree to 950 degrees Celsius and another at 760 degrees Celsius. This done so as to minimize the distortion of shape of product during heat treatment after that quenching is done. This process produces a thin hard shell that is harder than the one produced by other carburizing methods and can be completed in 3 hours compared to several hours as in other methods, so the parts have less opportunity to become distorted. This illustrates an electric salt bath furnace used for cyaniding. It is typically used on small parts such as bolts, nuts, screws and small gears. The major drawback of cyaniding is that cyanide salts are poisonous. Therefore, safety concerns have led to non-toxic baths that achieve the same result. From this slide, you can obtain knowledge about some basic differences between induction hardening, flame hardening, carburizing and nitriding. In case of induction hardening, it does not change chemical composition for medium carbon steel and alloy steel. In case of flame hardening, it does not change chemical composition for carbon steel that contains 0.3 to 0.6% carbon. In carburizing method, it is changed by chemical composition, additions of carbon on the surface, oldest cheapest technique and for low carbon steel. In case of nitriding process, it changes the chemical composition, additions of nitrogen through ammonia gas. Another surface hardening process is carbonitriding. It is a surface hardening heat treatment that produces carbon and nitrogen into the austenite of the steel. This treatment is similar to carburizing in that the austenite composition is changed and high surface hardness is produced by quenching to form martensite. However, because nitrogen enhances hardenability, carbonitriding makes possible the use of low carbon steel to achieve surface hardness equivalent to that of high alloy carburized steel without the need for drastic quenching, resulting in less distortion and minimizing potential for cracks. In some cases, hardening may be dependent on nitride formation, although the process of carbonitriding can be performed with gas atmosphere or salt baths. The term carbonitriding often refers solely to treatment in a gas atmosphere. Basically, carbonitriding in a salt bath is the same as cyanide bath hardening. In both processes, nitrogen enhances hardenability and case hardness but inhibits the diffusion of carbon. In many instances, carbonitriding of coarse-grained steel is more appropriate than carburizing because of lower temperatures and shorter cycle times. Like carbon, nitrogen is an austenite stabilizer. Therefore, considerable austenite may be retained after quenching a carburized part. If the retained austenite content is so high that it reduces hardness and wear resistance, it may be controlled by reducing the ammonia content of the carbonitriding gas either throughout the cycle or during the latter portion of the cycle. Another result of excessive nitrogen content in the carbonitrided case is porosity. So this is all about carbonitriding process. From this figure you can understand the carbonitriding process as I have told earlier. This is a neutral gas, this is a carburizing gas and ammonia which is fed into the carbonitrided zone. This is a neutral gas, this is a quench zone, and this is a preheat zone. After that, carbonitriding process is done. Another two surface hardening process are chromaging and boronizing. In case of chromaging, pack or dip in chromium rich material adds heat and wear resistance. In boronizing, pack or dip in boron rich material improves abrasion resistance, coefficient of friction. Other processes of surface hardening include vacuum hardening and plasma hardening process. During vacuum hardening, material is heated in the absence of oxygen by convection in the medium of inert gas, nitrogen, and or heat addition radiation in the under pressure. Steel is hardened with a stream of nitrogen, whereby cooling rate can be determined by selecting the excess pressure. Depending on the workpiece shape, it is possible also to choose the direction and time of nitrogen blowing. Optimization of time and steel temperature control are carried out during process with the use of pilot thermocouples, which can be placed on a workpiece in the heating chamber. Steel that is heat treated in a vacuum furnace obtains the specified properties of strength and hardness throughout the entire cross section without surface decarburization. Austenitic grain is fine and it complies with international standards. What are the main benefits of vacuum heat treatment processes? First, optimum hardening, distortion and crack-free hardening of the workload, absence of oxidation, decarburization or carburization on the surface of the workpiece, reduced or no post-hardening and finished costs, prevent surface reactions such as oxidation or decarburizing on workpieces, thus retaining a clean surface intact, remove surface contaminants such as oxide flames and residual traces of lubricants resulting from other operations. These are the main benefits of vacuum hardening process. Applications of vacuum hardening processes are hot and cold work tool steel products, tools for plastics, forging tools, cutting tools, die casting tools, pressing tools, cylinders, pistons, industrial knives, high-speed steel products such as drills, milling cutters, etc. Plasma hardening is also referred as plasma nitriding or carburizing process. In this case, the surface of the workpiece is saturated with either carbon atoms in case of carburizing plasma or nitrogen atoms in nitriding plasma. Carburizing carried out at high temperatures involves bombarding the surface to be coated with the plasma. The workpiece is held under vacuum until carbon atoms have diffused into the heated surface to form hardened surface layers on quenching. Nitriding is carried out under vacuum but without external heat. The heat to diffuse the nitrogen into the surface is provided by kinetic energy produced when the atoms hit the surface. Hardened surface layers are formed on cooling of the workpiece. In case of plasma carburizing, preliminary clean and degrease, load components into basket and place in furnace. Next procedure, evacuate and heat. Next procedure is to introduce carburizing gas and strike up glow discharge. Hold until carburizing is complete. Next, switch off the gas and plasma and hold under vacuum. Cool slightly before transferring out of hot zone to be quenched in warm stirred oil, that is at 80 degrees Celsius. In case of plasma nitriding, the procedures are: first, preliminary clean and degrease, load into the furnace, evacuate and introduce gas, strike up glow discharge and hold until nitriding complete, switch off gas and glow discharge, cool and remove from furnace. In case of plasma carburizing, any steel which can be gas carburized would be capable of plasma carburizing, which relies on the same principle, that of increasing the carbon content at the surface to produce a sufficiently deep and hard layer on quenching. Plain carbon steels, alloy steels and cast irons can be treated but should have a carbon content below 0.4% to produce a tough core. The shorter carburizing times lead to less grain growth and an improvement in fatigue resistance by 30% compared with gas carburizing process. This is all about vacuum and plasma hardening. So from this lecture you can obtain knowledge about some hardening procedures. Thank you.